Hey guys, welcome back to another Clash Royale video, and today we're taking a look at everything new coming in Season 5 of Clash Royale, including new balance changes, new arena, new tower skin, new emote, and much more. We're also going to be diving into actual balance change gameplay, so you guys can see the balance change cards actually in action and see a couple of interaction changes as well, which will be in the second half part of the video as well. But first things first, let's go ahead and dive into Season 5 of Clash Royale. The new theme of Season 5, guys, is the Great Goblin Feast. And going with the Goblin theme, everything is green, as you can see over here on the home screen, and as such, there is a new tower skin as well, tier 10, as we would expect, and there is a new Dark Goblin emote over at tier 20. The rest of the rewards remain, for the most part, unchanged, if I am correct. But that's the new emote, that is the new tower skin. We'll see them live in battle in just a brief moment. But the home screen is also green now to match that theme of the new Great Goblin Feast. We have ourselves a new arena as well. There's also been a couple changes as well with Season 5. Most notably, tiebreakers are now coming over to ladder instead of just in challenges and clan wars and everything else. Tiebreakers will also be on ladder gameplay as well. If you guys aren't familiar or if you forgot, tiebreakers is where if there is a draw, whoever tower has less health will actually lose the battle. That'll now be in ladder gameplay as well. There's also been some changes to Trophy Road rewards going forward with the Goblin theme. You now have the choices of Giant Goblin and Goblin Cage as well for the cards on Trophy Road. There's a new game mode coming out as well called Mega Touchdown, which will become the primary way we play Touchdown in challenges. Basically, it's kind of like Mega Deck. You build a deck of 18 cards total for Touchdown, and you'll have double Elixir. It'll be 2 times Elixir in Touchdown with an 18 card deck built by yourself called a Mega Touchdown. It'll be the primary way you play Touchdown in challenges. I'm assuming it's a 1v1 game mode. Basically kind of just gives you greater control of the deck that you have in Touchdown mode. They're also making some improvements overall to 2v2 Touchdown, which will still remain in clan wars and stuff like that. Just kind of making it easier and better to have a more balanced deck. But that's basically it for Season 5 of Clash Royale, guys. New arena right there, you can see. New tower skin, new emote, new Mega Touchdown, and some improvements for Touchdown as well, and some small Trophy Road changes. Let's go ahead, guys, and briefly refresh ourselves of the balance changes before we go ahead and dive into some actual balance change gameplay. There were 7 cards being changed in this balance update. First was a nerf for the Witch, pretty big nerf at that. They removed her area damage. They lowered her attack speed from 1.4 seconds to 1.7 seconds. They lowered her first skeleton spawn from 1 second to 3 seconds, which is actually a pretty big interaction change, which I'll show in a moment. They also increased her mass by 100%, so she's no longer pushed by the skeleton that spawns behind her. They also nerfed the Elixir Golem, health being decreased by 10%. This affects all phases, Golem, Golemites, and the blobs. They also nerfed the wall breakers, 19% less damage, area splash radius being decreased from 2 tiles to 1.5 tiles, and they also deploy slightly further apart, which mostly just kind of fixes some true red and true blue issues. The Fisherman getting nerfed, guys. Tons of nerfs in this balance update, which is absolutely insane. His hook range is being decreased from 7 to 6 tiles, which is a massive interaction change, which I'll show you guys in a moment. They've also increased the hook charge timer from 1 second to 1.1, so overall it'll take 10% longer for his hook charge. They're also kind of like nerfing and buffing the Executioner in different ways. It remains to be seen if it's actually a net nerf or a net buff overall, but basically his max range is being increased from 4.5 tiles to 5 tiles, which means he can hit things beyond a target a little bit easier. However, his minimum range has been unchanged, so nothing in that department just changes, basically just making it easier to hit things behind something. However, to compensate, the radius of his axe is being decreased by 20%, making it hit less things in the process. The Barbarian Barrel is the only card getting buffed this balance update with an 8% damage increase, allowing it to one-shot shields and Ice Beard. And then the Baby Dragon is the last card being nerfed in this balance update, with his health being decreased by 4.5%. So that is the balance update, guys. Let's go ahead here and dive into some actual battles now, and we'll kind of see how it how the new arena looks, look, this is the new arena right here, guys. Great Goblin Feast. It's basically a similar version of Legendary Arena, but obviously we have goblins, we have green, we have trees, we have just overall just really, really interesting looking arena. Disco ball all the way at the top over there. And that is the new emote, as you can see over there. Now, let's go ahead, guys, and dive into interaction changes with these cards. So wall breakers right here, you can actually see they spawn a bit further apart. Now, it doesn't actually change too much, because once they get to the bridge, watch, they get pushed back together anyways when they get to that bridge. So nothing really overall changes with that further deploy radius with those wall breakers. Just kind of fixes a few inconsistencies in the game. Now, speaking of that, let's go ahead and drop some guards and an ice beard right here. Take a look at the new Barbarian. Barbarian with the damage buff now one-shots the shield from the guards and one-shots the ice beard. However, it still will not destroy Dark Goblin, Rascal Girls, or a Princess. It just one-shots the shield and the ice beard. Now, I'm going to go ahead, guys, and send a Hog Rider down here. Now, previously, under the old Fisherman mechanics, you were able to use a Fisherman right here to pull the Hog Rider. But watch what happens now. He moves over, pulls the Hog Rider, but he goes back to that tower. So you're now unable to pull a Hog Rider to your King Tower with that Fisherman, guys. So that's a pretty big nerf overall to the Fishy Boy. But it is what it is. Now, let's go ahead, guys, use a Witch right here. This is another huge interaction change with that Witch. Watch this. Witch goes down. She no longer is able to spawn one skeleton on the opposite lane, which honestly is a huge, huge change. She's still a beast. Like, watch right here. She'll still actually destroy a tower by herself if you don't answer her. But you can actually see just how slow her attack is. Like, it's kind of just awkwardly slow, if that makes sense. She's still a beast. She can still solo a tower by herself, but just a bit of a different change, I guess, so to speak. But mostly having that... actually, let's go Rascals here. Let's show this first. So here's Rascals. Here's Executioner. You can kind of see one change right here with the Executioner. He can actually hit a Rascal girl behind that Rascal boy with that interaction change. However, he only hits one, depending on where you use it. Just because of the radius decrease of the axe. But he's now actually able to hit things behind something just a little bit easier. So I'm going to go ahead, guys, win this game right here against myself. We'll jump into another game and show some more interaction changes with these cards. Boom, boom. All right, so we're back in the game, guys. Checking it out. So, as I was mentioning, Witch no longer spawns skeletons on the opposite lane, which does a couple things. Previously, if your opponent went Bandit on one lane, you could actually use a Witch right here. She would start walking this way, but in the process, she would actually spawn out a skeleton right here, which would actually pull the Bandit to the middle and then to yourself. But watch what happens now. Watch what happens now. So we got a Bandit coming down the lane. I'm going to go Witch right here. Obviously, she does not spawn out any skeletons at all, which means that you can't actually use it to defend the opposite lane like you used to with that one skeleton spawn. So it's a pretty big interaction change with that Witch. Also, I'll show you in a moment when I get back to the Witch right here. But watch the Barbarian. Still does not one-shot the Princess, okay? So it still does not one-shot it. Let's go ahead and let's just zap here. I don't really want to show the Elixir Golem or the Baby Dragon, just because like it's just a health decrease, nothing too crazy. And I want to use a Giant down here, and we'll kind of show how the Fishy Boy does versus that Giant for pulling it to a King Tower. Let's see if we can pull that Giant once he gets to our tower. Let's go Fishy Boy right here. And he's going to try and pull that Giant over right now. Boom. So you are actually able to activate the King Tower against a Giant, and similarly, you can also activate the King Tower against a Golem as well, just no longer a Hog Rider, which is a pretty big interaction change, pretty big buff for Hog Rider decks overall. It still won't be crazy, but just makes it a little bit less just OP, that Fishy Boy. Now, one thing I want to show right here, guys, is the Prince. So previously, the witch would spawn that first wave of skeletons so fast, you could actually use her in a case like this. And previously, she would have actually spawned out a skeleton fast enough to soak up that Prince charge. She was a great card for soaking Prince charges and soaking up bandit dashes and stuff like that with that skeleton spawn. But with the first delay of the skeleton spawns, she is so much easier to destroy on offense than she was previously, making her less frustrating to face against when your opponent uses it on defense. So just there's less defensive things you can now do with that witch. Now I'm gonna go ahead here with this. I'm gonna drop some goblins down here just to kind of showcase the spawn. So you can see pretty clearly right there the difference in splash radius of those wall breakers. Under the previous system, the wall breakers would have destroyed the entire goblin gang there, but right there, like we killed 1 or 2 goblins with that wall breaker pull. So let's go ahead and do one more test right here. We're gonna go Golem right here, and we'll see if we can actually activate the Cane Tower with the Golem, as I had previously mentioned, which I believe you can still do. It's just the Hog Rider that you can't pull anymore. Let's go Fishy Boy right here. And he actually moves over, pulls the Golem away. And yeah, so we do activate the Cane Tower with that Golem. And I want to go, just a quick example here, Bandit right here. Go Witch right here. And she does not spawn out these skeletons in time. She spawns, and she attacks super slow as well. So, pretty big interaction change with that. But, yeah, that's basically the changes that I want to show you guys with the new cards. Wall breakers, they spawn out further apart. Doesn't really change too many interactions because they do get pushed back together over that bridge. Elixir Golem, Baby Dragon, just less health overall, die faster. Fisherman can no longer pull Hog Riders, and that just is a bit slower overall. Witch is way worse defensively, way slower attacking. She can't be used anymore to soak up a Bandit Dash or a Prince. And the Barbarian barrel now one-shots Guards and Ice Spirit. So overall, some pretty interesting interaction changes, guys, with these newly changed cards. Now, to finish the video off over here, I want to shift focus just a bit and take a look at right here, Royale API, which has a list of the card stats of all the cards in Clash Royale over the past 7 days. And I want to briefly kind of just talk about the balance changes overall and kind of my thoughts on them in Clash Royale. So pretty big nerf to Witch, like a pretty severe nerf. However, with that being said, her use rate was absolutely insane. She was being used at almost 50% of all battles. All right? Like, obviously, like, yeah, her win rate isn't too crazy right now. Like, 52%, nothing too crazy. But that's because the use rate is so high. A lot of those battles, it's Witch versus Witch deck. One of them has to lose, which brings the win rate lower, right? So a pretty fat nerf was slightly justified against that Witch because her use rate is so insane. Now, with that being said, my intuition is telling me that they might have over-nerfed her. They might have over-nerfed her. I hope that's not the case. I hope she's still viable. She still deals a lot of damage. She still has, you know, a bunch of skeletons. If you use her behind her King Tower, for example, she still spawns out skeletons like crazy. She just isn't as useful on defense with those skeletons, and obviously attacks a lot slower. I don't know. We'll kind of see how it goes. I think she'll still be viable. I'm a bit concerned that she might be over-nerfed. However, after the month of October, having Witch in every single deck in the game, I don't think it'll be too bad to have, you know, a month of, you know, less Witches going around. Obviously, if they nerf her too hard, they can, you know, give her a slight nudge again in December, hopefully, if she is over-nerfed. But I think it's kind of good that they hit her pretty hard with a nerf. Because if they didn't, like, could you imagine one more month of all Witch decks? Like, that'd be pretty annoying, right? Baby Dragon doesn't surprise me at all. It's been, you know, top tier for a very, very long time. So I'm definitely okay with that one. Obviously, we know Elixir Golem is OP. So no one is surprised right there seeing that health nerf. The health nerf is interesting to me just because, for the most part, it was the blob. Like, the blob damage was the OP part. But with that being said, with the less health, obviously the blobs die faster, so it won't be too as insane. Fishy Boy, you know, needs a nerf. Nothing too crazy there. Wallbreaker needed a nerf. I kind of think that they should have nerfed the health of the wall breakers, because in my opinion, the biggest issue with the wall breakers was the lack of viable counters. Like, you basically never had anything in your hand. Like, if they had a tank in front of their wall breakers, there's nothing you can do. You can't log it, you can't zap it. Even if you have like a Valkyrie, for example, they'll often just run past it. You had very limited options for actually dealing with wall breakers to counter them effectively, especially for a positive Elixir exchange. Like, for the most part, you have to use a Mega Knight to destroy the wall breakers, and that's like a huge negative exchange. So I think they should have nerfed the health of the wall breakers. I'm a bit surprised with what they did right now. However, the radius reduction is, I think, a pretty good idea, because now it allows you to defend them a bit easier and have more defending troops go back on a counter push instead of having the wall breakers destroy everything you have. But so, you know, I'm pretty happy with most of the nerfs. I'm pretty happy with them. With that being said, I'm a little bit concerned that the Night Witch might be a bit too OP. She currently has 31% use rate and 55% win rate. Like, she has a higher use rate than the Golem, which is pretty absurd, and she has a higher win rate than the regular witch. So we'll kind of see how it goes. Executioner was sitting over here at 8% use rate and 47% win rate. So nothing too crazy, honestly. Like, people are saying nerf Executioner, but his stats just, you know, aren't really that bad, right? He doesn't have OP use rate. He doesn't have OP win rate. Like, Rocket has a higher win rate than Executioner, and you don't hear anyone saying, you know, nerf Rocket, right? So we'll kind of see how that goes. Obviously, with the nerf to Fisherman, Executioner might become OP, but we'll kind of see how that goes. Overall, pretty happy with the balance changes. However, with that being said, I'm very, very, very surprised that there weren't more buffs. You know, we obviously have a lot of cards down here that could use some love, and I would have loved to see, you know, one or two of those cards thrown in there, right? Because for the most part, you know, the meta of November will be the same as the meta of October, just less of the OP cards, right? So I don't know. I just was looking for, like, it kind of felt like we spent a balance update just to kind of undo the previous balance update, which is an over exaggeration and isn't really fair to the team, because obviously, like, with some of the nerfs in November, the cards will obviously still be better than they were before October. And obviously they were all OP, so they had to be brought down just a bit. But still, I would love to see, you know, just one or two more cards buffed in there, just to kind of like showcase, or just to kind of make you feel like it wasn't just undoing everything previously. Like, there's actually something else added in there, if that makes sense. I mean, we've mentioned before, like, everyone knows the cards need to be buffed. They've all been mentioned before. But yeah, anyways, guys, like, I think I'm pretty happy overall with the balance changes. Obviously, they touched a lot of the cards that were too OP, and just a little bit disappointed that we just didn't get anything else changed. That's basically my summary of the balance update. Is pretty good changes overall. Maybe Witch might be dead. We'll kind of see how it goes. I'm hoping she isn't, but she might be. We'll kind of see. But just kind of really hoping that we would have saw a few more cards getting buffed in the process as well. But yeah, guys, that's the end of the video. That's the Season 5 stuff. That's the Season 5 balance changes. Let me know what you guys think overall of the balance changes down below. Or what do you guys think of the new tower skin, the new emote, and anything else you saw in the video. But guys, that is the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like. Subscribe for more Clash Royale content. Thank you so much for watching. We shall see you in the next one.